Hi and welcome for today's video tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how I knitted this pillow, so if you'd like to see how I did that, just keep on watching. So here is the yarn that I used. You can see the details on the yarn. And here is the needle I used, and I used a circular needle that is 6mm thick. And then I also used this little thing that I'm going to use when I turn all my cables. But first here, I take my yarn and I just go ahead and take some thread out, as you can see here. And then I make a little knot. Just like that. And then I just put my needle into the knot and just tighten it. And then this is how I make my stitches. So if you have learned it some other way, you can just go ahead and do that. We're going to need a total of 68 stitches. So you can just go ahead and make your 68 stitches. So now I have all of my stitches, and this is a little tail that is left. And I'm not just going to be knitting it back and forth, so you could also just use normal straight needles. I just find it easier to use a circular needle, but that is totally up to you. So now we're going to start the sequin. So you're going to start to do 4 purl stitches. And then you do just 1 knit stitch. And 2 purl stitches, and then 2 knit stitches. Then we do 6 purl stitches, and then we do 4 purl stitches, and 6 purl stitches. Then we do 2 knit stitches, and then we do 2 purl, and then we do 1 knit and 1 purl, and then we do 6 knit stitches. So these 6 knit stitches are going to be the middle of our pillow. So after this, we're just going to mirror the sequin that we just did. So then we do 1 purl stitch and 1 knit stitch, and then 2 purl stitches, and then we do 2 knit stitches, and 6 purl stitches, and then we do 4 knit stitches, and 6 purl stitches, and 2 knit stitches, and 2 purl stitches, and then we do 1 knit stitch and 4 purl stitches. So that was our first row of this pillow pattern, and this is the pattern we're going to build on. So this is going to be the front side of the row we just did. So now this was the first row, so I'm just going to mark that by just making a line on a piece of paper, just so I can keep track of how many lines I've made for when we're going to turn our middle cable. But now here I'm going to knit the back side, and on the back side, every time we do the back side, you're just going to do a copy of what we just did. You just do knit stitches above knit stitches and purl stitches above purl stitches. So you're never going to turn anything on the back side. The back side is just always going to just knit the stitches that is already there. So go ahead and do that. So now I've done the back side, so I'm going to make another line, because now we've done 2 rows. And now we are ready for knitting the next row, which is row number 3. And this is the front side again. So now you can soon begin to see the pattern. It's going to take a couple of rows for it to be really clear to see. So we're just going to do 4 purl stitches, and then we do 1 knit stitch, and then we do 2 purl stitches, and then now we have our first cable, which are the next 2 stitches, and those are 2 knit stitches that we're going to turn. So I'm going to take my cable needle, and these we're going to turn to the left side. So I'm going to pull them off and hold them in front of the work, and then we do knit the next stitch as a purl stitch, like this, and then we just put our 2 knit stitches back on our needle so we can knit them, and we just knit them as knit stitches like this. So this is what you're going to do every time you turn a cable to the left. And then we do 3 purl stitches, and then you can see our next cable. It's a bit difficult to see in this row, so I'm gonna do 1 more purl stitch, so we have 4 in between our cables, and now you can see our next stitch is also a purl stitch. But now we're going to turn the next cable to the right. So when you do turning it to the right, you're going to take your cable needle and take the stitch before your cable. So that is 1 purl stitch you're going to hold behind your work, as I'm doing here, and then you knit your cable, which is the 2 knit stitches. And be careful your stitch don't fall off your cable needle. Just like that. And then you actually just go ahead and put your purl stitch back on your knitting needle, so you can knit it as a purl stitch. And that is how you're going to turn your cables to the right. So now you can see there's only 4 purl stitches between our 2 cables. It's a bit difficult to see. It's going to be much easier to see when you've done a couple of rows. So now you can see here we have actually already our next cable, because our pattern is mirrored here. And those two are also a couple, and we're going to turn them the exact same way as we just did. So these are going to be turned to the left. So we hold the 2 stitches in front of our work and knit 1 purl stitch behind them. And then we put them back on our needle. And then we knit them. And then we knit 4 purl stitches. And then we have the next cable, which is going to be turned to the right. So we take the purl stitch before the 2 knit stitches and hold it behind our work. Knit the 2 knit stitches. Like that. Put the purl stitch back on our needle. And then we knit it as a purl stitch. So it looks like this. It's a bit difficult to see the pattern at this point. But this is what it looks like. So now we have 2 purl stitches and 1 knit stitch, as I've just knitted. And then we have our 6 knit stitches here in the middle. As I'm just knitting as knit stitch, we're not going to do anything with those yet. And then we have 2 purl stitches and a knit stitch. So this bit is just going to be the same for a couple of rows. So now the next pieces here is actually the exact same as what we just did, because the pattern of this pillow is mirrored. So here I'm just going to show you fast to turn the cables once again. But it is the exact same pattern. So just gonna turn these cables as I showed you. This one is going to the right and this one is going to the left, and the last one it all go to the right. Just gonna finish that row by turning the cables all the way to the end and then just knit the last stitches. So when you've done that, it looks like this. So it's only the cables that we're going to turn, we're going to knit differently. All of the other stitches we're just going to knit purl above purl and knit above knit. So that is really easy to remember. So I mark it because we just knitted the first line. So now I'm going to knit the back side. I would do that the same always, just knit above knit and purl above purl. And it can be a little bit difficult to see the stitches of the ones that is turned, but if you are in doubt, just go ahead and flip your work over so you can see if it's supposed to be a knit or a purl stitch. Yeah, but just go ahead and knit the back side as well. So now I've just finished with the back side. So now I've done 4 rows of my pattern. And now you can see the lines that we have turned a bit more clearly. Just going to show you how to do the next row. We're going to start with just our 4 purls. And 1 knit stitch. So now we're also going to turn the cables. We're going to turn the cables on every row on the front side. And you're just turning it and doing the exact same as we did as the row before. So now there's only going to be 2 purl stitches between our cables. just like that. So now there's 2 purl stitches between them, as you can see here. Just gonna continue doing that until there's no stitches between them, so we can turn them. And then I just do the exact same with the next 2 cables. So now here I've done the first part of my pillow, and again this pattern is just copied on the other side of the 6 knit stitches we have in the middle. So I'm not going to show you how to do that when I get over there. I'm just going to knit my 6 middle stitches, which is going to be a braid or a cable, but it looks like a braid. So just like that. So now I'm just going to turn the cables. So yeah, this is just the middle stitches. And then you're going to turn these cables the exact same way as we just did. As you can see now, you can see the pattern a bit more clear. You just want to make your cables meet. So you're going to make triangles, kinda. Yeah, so just go ahead and finish this row and then also do the back side. So now I've finished the row I was in, and then I also did the back side. So now just make another line. So now we're going to knit the next row, and this is row number 7. So again, we just start as always. We just do 4 purl stitches, 1 knit stitch, so just following the pattern, and then we knit over to our first cable, which is our 2 knit stitches, and then we want to take our cable needle. So now there's going to be no purl stitches between our 2 cables, so now they have met. And then knit them. And you're just going to take the next stitch and pull it behind of the work, and knit the 2 knit stitches. And then knit the purl stitch we just turned. So now you can see here they have met, there's no purl stitch in between them, and we're just going to do the same thing once again. Just going to show you. Just like that. So now I'm just going to knit over to my middle, which is our 6 knit stitches. Here they are. So now in this row we have done 6 rows, and this is row number 7, and in this row we're actually going to turn them. So you go ahead and take the first 3 stitches and we pull them in front of our work, and then we knit the last 3 knit stitches of our middle stitches and put the 3 back on so we can knit them. Just like that. So that is just how we're going to turn our middle stitches in every 7 row. So I'm just going to count this row down on my paper. I'm just going to make a line, because this does not count as a round, if you can say that, for my stitch count or for my row count. I just needed to be 6 rows in between every turn of my middle braid. But just go ahead and finish this round by just copying what we just did, so your cables on the sides meet in triangles, just like here. And then also do the back side. I've also done that here. So just turned the middle stitch here, and I'm going to make a new line. I'm just going to draw it underneath. So it just counted the back side. So we're going to know when there's 6 lines, we're going to turn it again. I hope that makes sense. I don't know why it's so difficult for me to explain that. It's really simple. So yeah, just going to turn our cables again but first we're going to knit over to them. So for this row it's going to be a bit For this row is going to be a bit different when we turn them, because we're going to take the 2 first of our cable of our knit stitches, hold them in front of our work, and then we knit the next 2 knit stitches so they cross over, if you can say that, and then you just put them back and then knit them as I just did here. And this is just how you're going to turn them every time they meet, like this. So now for the next couple of rows, we're just going to make purl stitches so they go away from each other, if you can say that. So we mirror it downwards, so it's going to be a triangle again on top of another triangle. I hope it makes sense. So here, just showing you again how to make them cross. Just like that. So that is really easy. So that's how you make them cross. So now we just have our middle stitches that we're just going to knit purl above purl and knit above knit. Just like that. And then you're just gonna turn these again, just like I showed you. Just do the exact same to make them cross over. And then you do the back side, as I've done here. And then just make a line. So now I've done 3 rows since we turned it. So we're gonna do 3 more before we're going to turn it again, the middle cable. So we just do the purl stitches to get into our cables. And 1 knit stitch. And then we just do our purl stitches into the cable. Like this. And just stop 1 purl before your 2 knit stitches. Because we want that to get in the middle of our 4 knit stitches. and then we knit the purl stitch, just like that, and knit the next purl stitch, and put our cable back on our needle. So now there's again 2 purl stitches between our 2 cables. So before we wanted the 2 cables to get together in the top, and now we want them to be separated, if that makes sense. Yeah, here I'm just doing the same thing. Like this. Then we have our middle stitches. Just like this. And then you just want to copy what we did with the 2 cables and just finish the row, and then also do the back side. And then you just want to continue making these 2 meet, so just following the pattern to make those 2 meet. Remember to keep track on your middle cable. Go ahead and finish this row and also do the back side. And I've done that here. And this is what it looks like. Just wanted to continue by making this pattern. And remember to turn the middle braid. So now I've done a couple of more rows, and this is what my work looks like. My 2 cables here have almost met, but here I am on the back side, and I'm going to make our braid make it turn again, and this time I'm going to do it on the back side. And I just wanted to show how you do that. So you just do actually the exact same. You take the first 3 stitches, pull them in front of your work. Well, this is the back side, but you still pull them in front of the work, and then you just knit the next 3 stitches, and this is the back side, so we knit it as 3 purl stitches. And then you put the 3 purl stitches back, and then you just knit them as purl stitches. So that is how you turn it if you are on the back side. So you just do the same, but I just wanted to show you so you know how to do it. This is what it looks like. So I'm just gonna finish this round. So now here I've just done a couple of rows. You can see there's 2 purl stitches in between in the middle here. So just kept on turning them outwards, and you're going to make the next row and the back side as well, so the cables in the middle, so they meet like this. Just keep on pulling, turning the cables to the sides. And I just wanted to show you what you do when you get to this point. So first we're just going to knit our 4 purl stitches and 1 knit stitch, and then we do some purl stitches. And then when you get to your 2 knit stitches here, your cable, you're not going to turn them in this round, you're just going to knit them, because we're going to turn them in the middle. So every time your cables is going to cross over in the middle, as they are in this round, you're not going to turn the 2 cables beside them, if that makes sense. I hope it makes sense. You can see what I mean, what I'm doing. So here we just make it cross over. Then we just do purl stitches until we get to our last cable. And we're not going to turn this either, we're just going to knit it as it is. And then I'm just going to continue in this pattern. So when you cross them in the middle, you don't turn the 2 cables in the sides, it just goes straight up. Just gonna do the exact same on the other side as well. And when you've done that, just remember to make a line on your paper and then do the back side like this. So this is what it looks like. I just want to continue making this pattern. I hope the pattern makes sense by now. And you can see here what it's going to look like when it is completely done. And this is about 53 centimeters long and 54 centimeters wide. And when you have it to that length, or you can make it longer or shorter, whatever you want to, you're just going to close off the stitches. And I'm going to show you here how I do that. So I just knit the first 2 stitches, and when I have 2 stitches, I pull the back one over the first one, as you can see me doing here. That is how I close stitches. And try to do it loosely so you don't get too tight, because then maybe your pillow will have a bit of a weird shape. So just try to do it a bit loose. Like that. So you're gonna continue this all the way to the end. And now here, when you're at the end, it's the 1 stitch left to close. Just going to cut the thread. And then I just pull the stitch up. So pull the thread through, and then you can just pull it, because then it will get tight. And then it's done, so it looks like this. And now I wanted to make it to a pillowcase, so I'm just going to take a old men's shirt, and I'm going to use this one. And then I've cut these 2 pieces out. I cut the middle with all the buttons, and it was too short because it's going to be 50 and 50 centimeters when it's done. So I just cut it so it's 54 and 54 on each side. And here you can see I just sewn the extra piece on, so it got a bit longer. And now I'm just matching it up, and the right sides are kissing, so they are inside the pillow. Then you're going to sew the edges, and I've done that here. Then you can unbutton it and turn it inside out, so that the wrong side is inside and the right side is outside. And then you can go ahead and put an inner pillow inside it. Here I'm just buttoning it up again, just to show you the end result. So this is the back side, really fast way to make a back side. And here I've just put a pillow inside of it. So this is how it turned out in the end. I think it turned out really beautiful. And this is the back side. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll enjoy this video, and I hope you're going to try it out. So see you next time. Bye!